Yep. And hello, guys. Welcome to another live of Sport Intellect. And today we're here with Abel, Jiran, Sanjeet. Hello, welcome to this live. And today we're here to talk about few, few topics, random topics that we have taken, and let's just discuss upon those things. So, first thing is, should retired international, not international, actually, Indian cricketers be allowed to play in foreign leagues? We've seen Yuvraj Singh and Manpreet Kohli play in given NOCs to play in the global T20, T10, no T20 in Canada, and you've seen Harbhajan Singh withdraw his name from 2019 from the 100, and Irfan Pathan who had to withdraw from the Caribbean Premier League draft. So there have been events where Indians have to withdraw themselves from these foreign leagues, and I personally I think it's because when a person from an Indian player plays in the foreign leagues, they are just promoting the other leagues where BCCI they want to stay superior among all the other leagues. They just don't want lose any type of revenue in any form. So I personally feel that is the main reason. And on to you guys. Jared, if you want to start, or able, Sanjeev, anyone?
Then you can take that first.
You know, I think Sankey, you're right to the fact that BCCI wants that exclusivity with the Indian players. The fact that Indian players are probably the hottest cricket commodities in the world. Even a Suresh Raina would bring, at least a few thousands into any league that he plays. Just the fact that the Indian interest peaks even more. For me, I think, I mean, personally speaking, it's a bit iffy. The fact that BCCI has that, I think it's pretty much the fact that they want to protect that exclusivity, but how much is it in favor of the players? That is a question mark that I would like to raise. It feels a tad selfish on the part of BCCI. They want to do that. For me, I feel that a lot of times, especially in the IPL fight, I mean, especially for players who are not in favor with the international, I mean, with the Indian team, these leagues can be an opportunity for them to show that they still have what it takes, and that opportunity is something that BCCI denies them. And I think when we speak about Suresh Raina especially, I mean, this is something that I am probably putting it out there, and I feel Suresh Raina hasn't played a lot of cricket, and I'm not saying Suresh Raina would have played if this permission was not an issue. But you see a lot of players like Suresh Raina require that kind of match practice coming into IPL. You cannot expect Suresh Raina to not play cricket for 9 months, and then suddenly play in the best T20 franchisee cricket league out there. So someone like a Big Bash or a hundred can give him that kind of match practice which he requires, and can make teams take notice. I mean, if IPL teams are using these leagues to look at players they want to buy, why not give Indian players a chance to prove in these leagues?
Very good point, actually, because I have a similar thought process as well when it comes to retired cricketers. For example, Sankey rightly mentioned about Yuvraj Singh, Irfan Pathan, Harbhajan Singh. If you talk about these guys barely played, or these guys were barely in the fray of things when it comes to selection to the Indian team. So once they're not in that position, they should be allowed to play in other leagues. At least you can keep an age gap. For example, if you can say a 35-year-old cricketer, once you take retirement from Indian cricket, you can go and play leagues. A 36-year-old cricketer. So, which won't make probably a 25-year-old or a 30-year-old retire early from Indian cricket and play in other leagues. If that's what BCCI are worried about. So you can keep you can keep a certain cap on age as to once you're 35, once you're 36, you can retire from Indian cricket, and probably you can go out and play other leagues. So you can keep an age cap, and you can also do that. Why I'm saying this, especially for players like Suresh Raina, is because right now he has missed out on an IPL contract just because of the match practice he's not shown. And in one way, I would also have to justify that his omission is justified in many ways. There is an emotional side of things where you feel that he should have been picked by Mr. Kashi from Chennai Super King. He should have been picked by some other franchise. But look, people are more angry about why didn't Chennai Super Kings bid for him rather than why didn't other franchise bid for him. Because if you look at him, he has played just for two franchises. One was Chennai Super Kings, and another was Gujarat Lions when Chennai Super Kings were not there. So Chennai Super Kings has been his team all throughout, and he has got that Chinnathala tag. He's got that brand value around him. He's got that people from Tamil Nadu's emotions around him, because he was also loving that. He was also loved so much by the locals, and he also loved the culture. So it was a mutual love between the fans and the player. That's why they used to respect Dhoni and Suresh Raina on the same level field. I felt that at sometimes. But now, if I have to talk about him not being selected in the auction could be just because of two reasons, what I can find. He did not play domestic cricket, neither did he play any IPL matches. Last year he got dropped midway through the season because of his lack of form, and he did not play inside Mustaq Ali Trophy nor in Vijay Hazare Trophy. So on what basis do you select him? You just say that I'm only the IPL player. Maybe you only get exclusivity for a player like MS Dhoni because he's a brand in himself, and Suresh Raina is nowhere close to MS Dhoni. There's no disrespect to Suresh Raina, but MS Dhoni is MS Dhoni, right? Then you're talking about Suresh Raina. And probably AB de Villiers got that for one season, but next season he eventually retired from all forms of game. So that's what I believe. When it comes to certain players, maybe MS Dhoni has got that exception, maybe Suresh Raina doesn't, because Suresh Raina's form was really bad. With MS Dhoni, you have that captaincy added value, which Suresh Raina doesn't bring.
Yep. Sanjit, if you want to add on that.
Uh, talking plainly about Suresh Raina, I feel he's not a player who Chennai Super Kings could have bought and then made him sit on the bench. That would face maybe more amount of backlash than to just not buying him. And as far as other teams bidding for him is concerned, the fact that his own team isn't bidding for him, if Chennai Super Kings put something like a player's, allow me to say this, uselessness in the squad, I don't mean by any means he is a bad player or any sort, but is the amount of what he would be put to use in a franchisee is that low. And Chennai is a team where, like, that's a government office. You don't get sacked there unless you're like doing absolutely nothing or there are some sort of complaints. The fact that they didn't go for it is indication enough for other teams that maybe, even if a couple of them had it in mind to jump for Suresh Raina, maybe just that put them back, saying, okay, boss, these guys aren't bidding. So maybe that runs doubt into people's minds. As far as other people playing foreign cricket leagues is concerned, I'll put this question out to all of y'all. What is BCCI's job? Is it A, to make sure the cricketers in India are happy, they all earn a better lifestyle, and they are in the hunt, they are more recognized around the world, or is their job to put Indian cricket on top and in control? Currently, I feel that aim is to keep Indian cricket in control. And we've heard a number of players say this, that the people playing in the domestic circuit or people sitting on the bench when you play against India are individually much more talented than probably any two players picked from their team. In terms of population, we are practically 35 Australians. So it is like talent is never going to be a problem. We always want to have it. Although I am in favor of people such as Suresh Raina, who have played a good amount, and I'm more than okay with retired players going and playing outside. Absolutely no problem. My only question is, as a 19-year-old, okay, say, or maybe say for example as a Tilak Verma, you come into the team, okay, you're trying to get your head into IPL, not getting enough chances. Not getting chances for an IPL means you probably don't get to play for an Indian team, at least not quickly. So does your focus from playing good cricket and playing at the highest level shift from there to just going to different leagues and playing to earn money? At the end of the day, league cricket is all about earning money. So is your focus shifting from playing cricket for India, striving harder, or are you just okay? I think that's what happened with Unmukh Chand. He was put on a pedestal right after the World Cup, and he expected to walk right in with all the Pepsi ads and everything. Everybody expected that to happen, but it's imperative for us to know that was, that was a rare failure for someone of his kind. CAF went on to play for India. Prithvi Shaw played on for India. Virat Kohli has done some good amount of magic. But it's just that does a player's focus shift from playing for India or playing at the highest level? And I feel the amount of hard work required for, say, a player to play in the IPL is probably twice what is required to play in a BBL any day. So I feel Suresh Raina, with this amount of match practice in the last 3 years, can go and play in a BBL. He'll do just fine. Who knows? He'll be Mr. BBL in 3 years. I wouldn't be very surprised. What stopped AB de Villiers from playing BBL for this long before he just came in a couple of years ago? There has to be something that how much are you learning there? What makes a couple of players? What makes all other boards postpone their international fixtures so that they can accommodate players into the IPL? The English board is very, they can't stomach the fact that the IPL is doing so well, but the English have been such. So apart from that, I feel what BCCI are doing has been, it's okay. It's a little harsh on the players, But then at the end of the day, if you have to maintain some kind of quality, you have to put your foot down on a few other things. And the BCCI is doing what they are where they want to be, where anybody wants to be. So I mean, as far as their aim is considered, they're doing just fine. The aim is, making sure all the cricketers earn well. I know domestic circuits also being strengthened a little more. A few things will come up. Saurav Ganguly at the helm is a great guy to take care of such stuff. But I think this is how I'm pretty happy with the setup at the moment.
Yep.
Fair point.
You can't find any cons there actually, while blaming, if you're going to start blaming BCCI, you don't find much cons, you'll just find more of the pros actually,
Actually,
That's a
and
fair
BCCI gets such a large chunk of money. So when a Rohit Sharma and MS Dhoni go on and captain a few other teams in, say, a BBL, Indians will watch anything. I think for four people who are doing a sports podcast about multiple sports, we should agree. We will watch anything. Alright? And when the viewership shifts from here to there, or at least duplicates from here to other streaming platforms, rates increase, broadcasting rights, everything. Star will never pay $5 billion to maybe, to Cricket Australia to make them show the BBL on Star Sport. They would never do that, but they did that with Star Sports here. I mean, sorry, they did that with the BCCI here. Because paying 33,000 crores will get them back that money and much more than that. It will not happen anywhere else. And that puts BCCI in control. And Indian players playing elsewhere, let's be fair, Virat Kohli gets money. That puts BCCI on top. Rohit Sharma, MS Dhoni get money. That puts BCCI on top. When Aaron Finch or Steve Smith do not get that kind of money. In fact,
You're
we've had a
absolutely
good
right.
Indians have got running other leagues.
But like,
Actually, there's a very, very deep thought in that, what Sanjay just put up. Because I personally felt right now in global leagues, if you look at all global leagues, or if you just look at international cricket, right, BCCI earns a lot of respect just because of IPL and because of Indian players. You look at you go to a test match. If you hear a commentary of a test match between Pakistan and South Africa, they're talking about IPL over there, and you're talking about which player is playing for which team. For example, I was watching one of the women T20 games between New Zealand and India, and there they were talking about how women's IPL could probably change the viewpoint towards women cricket, and how women cricket will be even bolstered. Though you have WBBL, you have 100 for women, but then they want an IPL, because IPL is what would probably change the viewpoint towards women's cricket. And India is a big market. The moment women IPL is promoted in India, that brings in a different fray of things altogether. Now, coming back to the point of why BCCI is doing this, Sanjit is absolutely right. Because you want the exclusivity factor, right? At some point or the other, you want to be called as the best league in the world, the best league, the best board in the world. You want the respect from others. Why is the cricket South Africa letting their main players leave a series and come and play in India? They have an international duty over there. Would India ever do that? Would India ever say, guys, don't play for the West Indies series, you have a BBL match to go? That's never going to happen, right? If Indians go and play in the other league. So this is what's happening, right? And you have Owen Morgan, who has come out on record saying that, guys, you should go out there and play the IPL in order for us to prepare for the World Cup. So IPL is considered as big as a competition like a World Cup now. It is like the UEFA Champions League of cricket, because you don't have a Champions League in cricket right now. It's as big a competition as that right now. You just have 10 teams and all that, but just coming to the point of view, it's the biggest club cricketing competition in the world. You have PSL going on right now. How many of us are really following it? How many of us from India are following it? How many of us across the world is tweeting about it? Nobody. It's the same case with BBL. Many of them did not even know a BBL final is actually over, and which team won, nobody knows about it. You can say, if you actually watch the BBL ardently, and if you're a true cricket fan, you can say, okay, yeah, Perth Scots did so well. Sydney Sixers played so well. They both played in the final. They're one of those teams like Mumbai Indians and Chennai Super Kings. They meet so often in the final. But then the point is this: does it have the same value like an IPL? So that's where I felt. That's where I feel like Indian cricket is doing the right job right now. But my only point is that if you're 36, 37, you can probably give the leeway to Suresh Raina,
Yes.
probably for Yuvraj Singh, probably for Harbhajan Singh, to go out there. For example, Srishant, right? Srishant was begging for mercy to BCCI that, can I go and play in the Scottish League? Can I go play here? Though he had a lot of other things attached to him while he was asking for it, BCCI was totally in denial of him playing anywhere else. And that's one of the reasons why he did not even feature in the auction list last year and not even get picked this year at all by any team. There's different reasons to it because of his image, etc., etc. But then my point is this: once you're 39, 38, you know you're going to retire. You probably have one good year to offer for Indian cricket. You can probably go and play other leagues, and if you're doing really well in other leagues, you can get picked in our league. That's what my point is. For example, Chris Gayle is doing that, right? Chris Gayle is playing at 40. Chris Gayle, last year he was 40 and he still played in the IPL, just looking at his records from other leagues.
Yep.
The point I would like to add here is the same thing that Abel, in the same vein that Abel's mentioned, the fact that obviously the current players, the players who have a contract with BCCI, and not even just contract players who have a reckoning to get a contract with BCCI, shouldn't be allowed to go out because the exclusivity factor of Indian players goes out, and the fact that you also have, in fact, if you look at something like a BBL, even Cricket Australia doesn't take BBL as seriously because you have an Australian team which is playing series somewhere else while the BBL is going on. BBL is pretty much a testing ground for future Australian players. It is not an exhibition of Australian cricket as such, and that is pretty harsh for me to say, but that's the truth. You don't see. What is the reason why Mitch Stark doesn't play in BBL?
Steve Smith was not given the NOC to go and play BBL. You know that?
Yes.
Steve
So
Smith was
that's a
playing
pretty
the
reason.
the final. He was not given the NOC to play
You
in
don't
his
see a
own
Mitch
league.
Stark
Thank you,
play.
that. Yeah.
You don't see a Mitch Stark play. Mitch Stark is probably the best player. Like Bumrah plays in IPL, but you don't see a Mitch Stark feature in a BBL. And the reason for that is because BBL is not as serious as IPL cricket is. But the fact that someone like Suresh Raina is not going to play for India, so obviously retired. But even if he wasn't retired, so as to speak, he wouldn't be playing for India by a long mile. So why not allow them to go out and play? I mean, at a point in time, someone like an Amit Mishra, for instance, or Suresh Raina, as we've spoken about him a lot, we have Dhaval Kulkarni. I mean, don't know how much he is in contention for an Indian spot as well. So these players who are not instead of having an objective criteria, you can maybe make a criteria where there's a bit more leeway on the no objection certificate. Like if BCCI is not looking at the player as having a future anywhere in Indian cricket anymore, you allow them to go out there and play because at this point in time, Suresh Raina's career is not connected to BCCI or Indian cricket. It's connected to himself, and it's probably time where you allow him to go out there. Someone like a Yuvraj Singh as well. So there's that, because at this point in time, whether Suresh Raina makes big bucks in IPL or not, he isn't going to play for India. And the same goes with a lot of other players. Srishant is a very good example. So if you don't have them in your plans, you allow them to go out there and play those matches. Let them enjoy the cricket, I suppose. And that's all I can say. I think that is one thing I feel is harsh. Obviously, there's nothing wrong with BCCI doing this. It is not right for a Virat Kohli to go and play in BBL, according to me as well, because it kind of breaks the image of IPL as an exclusive competition where you see exclusive players. So I totally agree with that point. But again, I'm still on for a little bit more leeway in the no objection certificate.
Yep, especially for the retired players and a bit more older players, they should be allowed to play these foreign leagues without doubt. And let's go to another topic. Let's go to best unsold players 11 for you guys. You guys, anyone want to start? Abel, would you like to start?
Yeah, I would like to start. Well, for me, one surprise has always been Martin Guptill. I don't know why he doesn't find a spot in any of the IPL teams. And some of the IPL teams actually had a spot for another overseas player, and they did not even mind picking this guy at all. And that's something which still baffles me to a certain extent as to why don't these teams consider someone like Martin Guptill. So if you have to ask me if I have to make 11, it's going to be hard because there are multiple reasons why many players are not picked up, right? So I'll put like four marquee players, from my opinion, who will feature in my unsold 11. Number one being Suresh Raina. And I'll give from where we left off yesterday. I would like to spark that debate because we did not finish the Gujarat Titans debate.
Even if I
Let's,
may, I'll put one more point in just
yeah,
to make it a bit more
yeah,
spicier. Do you
yeah.
think Suresh Raina might return to CSK setup as a mentor so that the fans are
Possible,
satisfied?
possible, possible.
It is going to be very
I was going to
difficult
say
for the
that.
CSK management to convince Suresh Raina to come back. But do you see that happening? If it happens, I think the fans will not have an issue. Because the same
I
fans
think
who are
that's what happened.
who are criticizing Suresh Raina not playing would have criticized Suresh Raina if he was not scoring as well as he was. So it's a double-edged sword for CSK. So they might find this as a way, a solution And we've seen that
But
happen
tell
in
me
past with
this,
IPL teams.
Jaren, but tell me this, does it not just seem, if you were Suresh Raina and you didn't get a prize at the
It
auction,
is very
but then
disrespectful. Yeah.
yeah, that is just
So,
plain charity.
so
And let's be honest, Stephen Fleming sits on his chair alone. All right. MS Dhoni and him work side by side. You will not tell me that Suresh Raina is going to mentor MS Dhoni, or he will have that much of a say as much as MS Dhoni or a Fleming will have, if at all he has one. So
I think
that
I mean,
if
this
Suresh Raina
this might
comes
just be
in,
for
he's
namesake, actually. Just take Suresh Raina, just for the
yeah,
fans. Just for the emotional
it's
connect.
pretty much
Yeah.
him coming in and being a mentor for the younger players. So
See, the
Dhoni is
point
like,
is this: is he a good mentor or not? Is still a question. For me, a player who has literally ignored the domestic setup. He has totally not even played a single match aside Mustaq Ali Trophy. He's not played a single Vijay Hazare Trophy. You have other players on hand, for example, Bhagat Verma, you have Hari Nishant, you have Jagadishan, who have been putting hard yards in their domestic circuit to get a place, including Robin Uthappa, guys. Robin Uthappa played every match for Kerala. This Syed Mustaqil Trophy, he was putting in the hard yards. And there you have a guy who's getting that free entry into a IPL 11 just because there's a name. So it's a debate of justified omission or reputation. So
hmm,
for me, it's a justified omission on this ground that what is the logo of the motto of IPL, where talent meets opportunity. We're trying to build. Maybe Chennai Super Kings is looking to give those youngsters a chance. For example, you have a Bhagat Verma, you have a Hari Nishant, you have a Jagadishan, possibly who will take Chennai Super Kings for the next 10 years. But whereby you have Suresh Raina who was dropped from the squad last year, who has not played a single domestic cricket game. A year before that, he left IPL midway before even it started to go back home due to family reasons. Of course, we do accept that. There is no reason why whatsoever why he couldn't do that because that's his personal matter. We don't have to indulge in that. But now coming to the main point, is his selection justified in any team? Maybe yes, but also no. It's a double-edged sword, as Jaren rightly mentioned. It's a gray area where people would like to have emotions connected to the player, but at the same time, only option where they can actually get those people from actually criticizing their team is by bringing him in as a mentor. If they bring him as a mentor, what's going to happen is people are going to be like, okay, at least it's part of the setup. They care about the player. They want him to be there. It's going to be the same thing with ABD Villiers as well. Once ABD Villiers comes back to RCB, people are going to be like, oh, ABD Villiers is there. He's going to do this. That's what Indian team did right now when they bought MS Dhoni for the T20 World Cup, right? They bought him into the setup just so that he can guide. It also brings in a marketing value of side of things, right? They sold that Indian team jersey with MS Dhoni on it at a very high price. Just because MS Dhoni was part of the setup, it was just a business side of things. Now you're going to say Chinnathala is coming in as a mentor. It's a great narrative. It's going to definitely make fans feel, okay, great. He's there in the setup. They care for him. He's going to do this. But if his selection in the 11 can be still not justified or even in the squad, just for this reason. I'll also go to the Gujarat Titans debate after this. Yeah, guys.
I think for me, it is again justified. The reason I feel that is because Suresh Raina is the only reason why, I mean, I'm going to be very harsh here, very straightforward. The only reason why Suresh Raina has played IPL for this long is because he was playing for CSK, and because any other team, and I mean any other team, he would have been released 2 years ago because he hasn't been the Suresh Raina. He hasn't been a player of a high quality for a long time. He struggled building long innings. He's either looked very flashy initially or he's looked very slow initially, and that is kind of broken CSK innings a lot, and it's kind of put them in trouble. With Robin Uthappa coming in the squad, doing well in the matches that he got, especially in a playoff, there was an obvious like for like replacement at least for the next 3 years, and therefore it was pretty. And not to forget, Robin Uthappa is someone who's a pretty good fielder. Like the only reason I see Suresh only thing that I see in Suresh Raina that has not fallen back is the fielding. And Robin Uthappa isn't a bad fielder by any mile. He's a safe pair of hands. So then, on what account do you get Suresh Raina in the team? The only thing you see is you have 3 crores. Suresh Raina's base price is less, so just include him for name's sake. But again, how many fans would be happy seeing Suresh Raina miss out all the matches? Suresh Raina does not make into this team by any chance. He would have made into some. He
I
probably. I
think
think the
Shivam
only
Dubey is
way
replacement for Suresh Raina. Shivam
another.
Dubey, a
Yeah,
left-hand batsman who can ball, is
yeah.
a replacement for Suresh Raina, and he's young, and they would definitely like to groom him for next 10 years at least. That's what I see in my opinion.
That's another. I
Exactly.
mean,
And
Shivam Dubey is, yeah, yeah. Go ahead,
no, please, please,
Sanjeev.
then go ahead.
So Shivam Dubey is another player who probably will get that nod because again he gives in that he's a bowling option as well. So how do I put this?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
have we lost both of them?
Yeah, maybe electricity. Okay, we've lost both of them. Sanjit, if you want to continue.
Splendid. I have cut an RCB and a Chennai fan away, and I would love to speak. Taking Mumbai Indians fan, I'll take center stage. These guys were talking about Shivam Dubey being a like for like replacement of Suresh Raina and him taking up mentorship. I mean, there have been cases in the past where players have been unsold and they have taken mentorship up. Lasith Malinga comes to mind. The only difference between the two is Lasith Malinga was the senior most player in that team, and he was already a mentor, and he was not fighting for a place. Of course, he had a belly out, this and that, but Lasith Malinga was already a mentor. He was the leader. He added a lot of value just by being there. So will that work with maybe a Suresh Raina? Also, a very interesting point today picked up by Joy Bhattacharya when he was talking about Suresh Raina being unsold. He was talking about at the same age, maybe a South African cricketer or Australian cricketer's age, and at the same age, a North Indian cricketer's age is probably always 2 kgs more. Faf du Plessis and Suresh Raina are more or less in age, at the same age, but the age their bodies work at, that is
Yeah.
different. And MS Dhoni, I mean, maybe he'll mince and chop his words, but his intentions are very clear. And they have been so from the start. If a man has the audacity and has the power and that kind of determination to drop a Virendra Sehwag from the team for his fielding and tell Sachin Tendulkar he'll have to play on rotation because fielding is getting hampered, then Suresh Raina wasn't the biggest problem he had. That's for sure. As far as the Shivam Dubey someone is concerned, I like Shivam Dubey. He has his hands have great power. He can strike the ball. The grounds he's going to play in, if they happen in Maharashtra, well and good. He is a local boy. He can tong the ball around. He actually his domestic performances and every now and then that he plays. I mean, he's always been. He has had. He's like the Karen Pollard. He has a couple of great games. So if he can get Chennai out of trouble twice or win them a game twice, he would have done his job. As far as the Chennai wicket is concerned, where he will go next year onwards, if at all he doesn't get put out at the auction or whatever, the ball spins a slightly slower wicket, but he would much rather hit a spinner, or face a spinner in the 15th over than a fast bowler. So somewhere he fits Suresh Raina also, a great player of spin. You need somebody who can tackle spin, who will not struggle against spin in the middle, and can also keep on taking singles at medium pacers and just put the bad balls away. Shivam Dubey can do that, and there is no better man than MS Dhoni to make sure he does that. So he has the best mentorship probably after Mumbai Indians, and if a cricketer especially like Shivam Dubey, if he wants to be under right guidance, that is the team to be. And Suresh, let's be fair, he had his time up after playing for almost 13 seasons. I mean, he had done his quota, but yeah.
Yep, and not only Suresh Raina, we've actually missed out on Amit Mishra, Piyush Chawla. These types of player. It's actually an end of an era for the IPL. Actually, if you're looking at from one point of things, actually, it's an end of an era for the IPL with missing out of Mishra, Piyush Chawla, Raina. As you mentioned, yeah, they will have a bit of the weight might be a bit extra than the other people of the other countrymen, like you can say South Africans or Australians, and not only that, maybe the work rate that they might put in and not playing the domestic games as well, these might not be happy for the franchises to pick a player from just not playing any game from last few seasons. He's not been scoring as well, and
Yeah.
that's the reason, I guess.
Well, I have a point over here. Sanjeet and Sankey, both of you answer on this. would you really have a player like Suresh Raina fit into a squad like Hi Jaren? I think
Yeah, I
our
mean,
power was all good. I said like yeah. So yeah. Getting back to the point, would you have a player like Suresh Raina in a team like Gujarat Titans? I want to continue from where we left off. Yesterday we had a long haul session
no,
talking about Gujarat Titans. If you look at Gujarat Titans 11, just talking at the 11, I am again going back to team analysis. They don't need a player at number 4, number 5, and also a number 3. That's where probably I felt they could have
Yep, we lost him.
Okay, a guy able stuck again. But I think I got the gist of the question he was trying to
Yeah,
ask. He was talking about Gujarat
Suresh
Titans
Raina.
needing someone like a Suresh Raina. With Gujarat Titans, I just fear that maybe even I will get a call saying I want to play at number 4 for them. That I feel they are that bad. All right. I feel at least they should have made a bid because it'll hurt for Chennai Super Kings to make a Raina sit. It would not have been the case with Gujarat Titans. And for somebody who had, and for a team that had that kind of purse, was willing to make the spins, and who very visibly lacked a couple of batsmen who could fit into that role. Every team has a backup. These guys don't even have a first choice. So as much as I say that it would hurt Chennai Super Kings to take Raina and make him sit, it does hurt a team like Gujarat Titans equally to not even go for him. That team severely lacks balance in that top, and it looks like everybody can play in only one gear. And if they change that gear, even as much as they would want to, that's not how they're supposed to play. And Raina could have been that, and just by being there, probably some batsmen just by being there add some kind of value to the team, and that thing brushes off of other people. Something of that sort could have happened, but I mean, I actually feel it wasn't very wise of a team like Gujarat Titans to not actually go for someone like Raina. It would have helped a lot.
Yeah, actually,
I
inexperience
mean,
in the middle order is
I'll,
there.
yeah.
Having Vijay Shankar, most probably it's going to be Vijay Shankar and Abhinav Manohar going to be batting at 3 and 4 respectively. So having a Suresh Raina might have helped them. Maybe a bit of good balls hitting good balls away. Suresh Raina might have get back into the game that he plays. If that might have helped him, maybe he could have come back and got into Gujarat Titans, or maybe just because you can't be playing Vijay Shankar at 3. Uh, Vijay Shankar
yeah.
at 3 is just not. It doesn't feel like an IPL level for a number 3 to be Vijay Shankar.
See, that's a similar situation. If Vijay Shankar was an RCB, people would have been like, okay, let him bat at number 3. But
Yeah,
just
You know,
because
it's the
he's in
scariest part. The fact that in Gujarat Titans lineup, he is the best number 3. And
yeah, that's
that
the
is the
point. Right
scariest
now, if
part.
you look at RCB as well, you don't have a number 3. Or else Virat Kohli should come down at number 3. Otherwise, I don't see a number 3 in RCB as well. It's a similar situation with Gujarat Titans as well. But then if you look at Gujarat Titans middle order, there is nothing but a huge hole, what I see. Abhinav Manohar at number 4, not tried and tested at all. David Miller is the only option there, but then who is going to keep? So if you're going to play Ridhiman Saha, Matthew Wade, if you're going to play Ridhiman Saha, you should bat number 3. Maximum number 3. You cannot push him down to number 4. So Ridhiman Saha is one of the best of number 3s. Then you can play Vijay Shankar. Then you can probably play David Miller. Then Hardik Pandya, Rahul Tewatia. But still, Hardik Pandya has not had any cricket for a very long time. He's out of form. He's not been in touch. Rahul Tewatia, how many innings of his do you really remember? Two. I only remember two innings. One was the one
SRH.
he played in Sharjah, where he
And
took on
Pandya.
Cottrell, and other one which he played against SRH, where he
Yeah, he was
actually
reverse
was
sweeping Rashid Khan. Yeah.
yeah. So these are only two innings which comes into my mind. I might be wrong if I missed out on some of his best innings, and maybe he might have played a couple of good knocks inside Mustaq Ali Trophy. If you look at IPL 11, he's not won another match other than those two matches. So he still got the height from 2020 IPL, which is carried on
right.
to 2022. And he's gone for 9 crore. If he's worth 9 crore not, I really don't think so. He can definitely save you plus 10, plus 8 maximum on the field. He's a agile fielder. He's probably a bowler who would ball 4 for 30 and still get away. Which he might be just quickly a wicket. So it's a tick mark for me on those fronts. But as a batsman, batting at number 6, number 7, is he a 9 crore worth cricketer?
No,
Maybe no. But is he going to be my match winner at number 7? No. So, what is Gujarat Titans lineup going to be like? It's going to really be. It's a really It's a question which everybody has in their mind. Is this really a good lineup to actually even compete in IPL? For me, they would really
Exactly.
surprise if they end up qualifying in the top four. If they do, it's
Exactly.
going to be
I won't be
yeah.
surprised. I won't be surprised if they fight it out with. I mean, I had a very different opinion with Kings and Punjab. The panel might not agree, but I have a feeling they might fight it. There might be a competition with them at the bottom of the table. Because Punjab
Why
again,
not?
not getting back into the debate of Punjab, but Gujarat Titans was a very good contender for number 8, and I'll tell you why. I think
Number 10.
just to
Number
add some
10.
insight to your point, Abel, number 10. I'm sorry, actually, the wooden spoon has become deeper. But the fact is, if you look at
Number 8 is a mid-table
Tewatia's
now. Huh?
career, if you look at Tewatia's career, his best year was 2020, and he had a strike rate of 139 in his best season in IPL. 139 is the strike rate of a number 3 batsman, not a number 7, number 8 finisher whom you want to convert matches into, your side, get those two points. I don't see someone like Rahul Tewatia. How can you have someone of that? I mean, I'm not questioning Rahul Tewatia. He's obviously improved a lot. But the fact is, his career stats are not very good. His strike rate is 124. In fact, even in 2021, the previous IPL, he's played 14 matches. His average is 15. That is a tail ender's average. So I don't
Exactly.
know how good that is a choice. Rahul Tewatia, I feel, is a one-season wonder. He has just this season. If this season he doesn't do well, he's not going to be in the IPL auction. If probably gets into an IPL auction, he's going to get in on base price. So I don't know. I think Rahul Tewatia
100%.
at that price
And in fact,
is a
what is
loss.
Rahul Tewatia bringing? Would you rather bowl to a Rahul Tewatia or would you rather bowl to a David Miller? I mean, David Miller has been
Or even a
seriously
Suresh
off
Raina.
color, but exactly. I mean, but as a
Guys,
bowler, you would much
let me just
rather
add
bowl to a
one thing.
Tewatia.
Let me just add a thing. I think Rashid Khan is more dangerous than Rahul Tewatia. Just looking at the
I
Obviously,
game.
agree with
I
you.
feel that
I
is
agree with
true.
you.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, but that's the thing. I would much rather, or any bowler I feel would much rather bowl to a Rahul Tewatia in the 19th over than bowl to a David Miller, even though David Miller hasn't been in the best of touch. Even though he's gone for much lesser than what a Rahul Tewatia has. And who would Karen Pollard rather want to start batting off against? Would he rather want to bat against Rahul Tewatia or maybe even an Umran Malik for that matter? Who would you rather want to face? Or maybe take maybe take Chahal. Who would you
Yeah.
want to face? And Tewatia is the name all along. That's the person you target and that's the person you want to bowl to.
Yeah.
And I don't want such players shouldn't go for that high. And that is where they've missed a trick.
And yeah, another thing is if you look at Rahul Tewatia's wagon wheel in IPL 2020, it's 85% of runs have come through one side of the ground, which is from mid wicket to square leg. And he's got one
Exactly.
shot. He's got one shot.
And
Even if the ball is ball outside off him, he's gonna go and hoik it over square leg or mid wicket. Ballers are not dumb, guys. Ballers are not dumb in a level like IPL, and he can be found out very easily. He got away with that very poor ball from Sheldon Cottrell that day. Even on that day, let's go back to
the
that
reason
very match where he became a hero, right? What was his score initially? People were like, why is this guy even sent out? He couldn't actually handle spin. He was missing Ravi Bishnoi, like he couldn't even connect him. He couldn't play any balls which was ball outside off stump. So he's got major defects even in his own batting. He doesn't have a shot where he plays it over cover. He doesn't have a shot. Even the innings which he played against SRH, his runs came again square leg, fine leg, and mid wicket. This is only range. And one other shot which he was played was a reverse sweep which he took Rashid Khan for a four. So he doesn't have an offside stroke. All what he has got is a leg side movement where he can actually only hit on the leg side, and that makes him even more vulnerable. It makes him an asset which is not worth investing at all. For me, he became a Krishnappa Gautam of 2021 auction. Krishnappa Gautam in his career in IPL has won probably one game, if I remember at all. It was against Mumbai Indians. Sanjeet, you might be remembering it very well. So
Yep.
there was a CSK
it was
match as well.
which
That's
he
why I think that is the reason why there was a CSK match as well. I think it was Shreyas Gopal and Krishnappa Gautam who combined. No, it was Josh Butler and Krishnappa Gautam who combined together and gave a defeat to CSK. And I remember him playing a cameo. That's probably the reason why
the
he went.
only match which he won single handedly was the Mumbai Indians match.
Yeah, I think it's going to
And I
quick
think
fire
the
for
reason why Krishnappa Gautam is the reason why Krishnappa Gautam went in that auction for that much was because it was a mini auction. CSK needed a replacement for Jadeja, and that is the only reason why he went. He hasn't done well this auction. But what baffles me is someone like Rahul Tewati has gone for this much in a mega auction. The same auction where you have someone like David Warner go for 6.65. I don't see the sense in that.
Exactly.
He is the best
No
foreign
disrespect to
player
Ashish
in
Nehta and
IPL.
Gary Kirsten, but their tactics seemed very vague to me. Ashish Nehta,
I
I
mean,
had
not to
certain
forget, you
doubts on
look
him
at
when he was
their
coaching RCB. He's continued that to even Gujarat Titans.
and the fact is, you are going to play Rahul Tewati as a spinner as well, and his bowling is not good as well. It's not. Its stats are not good as well. If again, I think we go back to his one season wonder. The one season wonder where he became the star. 2020, his average is 32. That is seriously bad. You're giving 32 runs to get a wicket. That is
That's
not
the whole point,
what you
right?
look in a spinner.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
And the
exactly my
fact is,
point. A one season wonder is somebody who plays well only for one season. Rahul Tewatia played well in 3 games. That is a
Two
fourth of a
games.
season.
Two games.
Yeah,
he's
I
given.
just said
Yeah,
three
the
because
fact
I
is that
might have just
he's
missed one of some sort. But
Yeah, no, you missed
that's
it.
not a one season player. That's 2 games. Two and two
Sandeep
games
basically what he's
proves
doing
nothing.
is
Maxwell was a
giving you
one season
15
wonder for a
runs.
very long time. Maxwell
Maxwell
had
is
a
a one season wonder. Exactly.
he was a one season
You
wonder
see
because
Maxwell,
he performed consistently for
but
7 to 8 games.
Absolutely.
able you see the thing with Maxwell is you saw talent in him. I'm going very harsh here, but Maxwell wasn't failing because of the issues with technique or the issues. It was more of the fact that he was just going all out in a situation where he could have stayed back, taken his time, and
He
that's
was
what he's
used
improved about
he
his
was
game. His
used differently
mentality
by
has
Punjab.
improved. His mentality has improved a lot in the past. And I'm not saying Rahul Tewatia is a bad player or he's a complete reject. He could be a great
I'll
player
say
in the
that.
future years. But is he 10 crores worth now? Is the question. If he's giving you 15 batting in number 7, number 8, or maybe a number 6 looking at you never know with the Gujarat Titans and another Salam is gonna be. He's giving you 15 runs. He's getting a wicket in the 27th ball of the match, and he's giving 32 runs away. Is that actually a buy you want for 10 crores? Is that actually they could have invested in a spinner? They could have invested in Amit Mishra. He isn't half as bad.
Practically, that means not even getting a wicket every match. If
Yeah,
a
not
27th
leaving
ball
there
it
every
comes
match. That's
exactly
what
27th ball will only come in match number 2.
So
That's actually pathetic.
exactly,
yeah, he's a leg spinner for God's sake.
and
And
you
leg spinners
realize
are supposed to be
this
wicket
is his
takers.
this is 2020 when he had a breakthrough IPL season. I'm not even looking at his career stats.
To be very honest, I was
His career
surprised when
stats
he
are
was selected
worse.
for the Indian team for that England match, England squad against the
And
for the English tour or when England came to India. He was
Yeah,
selected in the
I think
squad
it
for
was when
T20.
Indian came to India. Yeah.
That's when England came to India. He was selected in the squad and he did not make it because he failed the fitness test. But I was surprised. Why did selectors even go for this guy? What has he done? I had a similar thoughts when Krishnappa Gautam was selected to that squad which toured Sri Lanka. What are his credentials to make it to an Indian team?
But that's the whole point. Touring a Sri Lanka and playing against England will be two different things. I feel many people have tried a couple of players in for Sri Lanka or Bangladesh. I'll just go on to say this: the current IPL setup is practically looking like a Champions League with an Ireland team. That's it. There are 8 teams who can compete against one another. Maybe one or two that aren't as good, but well, they are in the rankings. So you can do nothing about it. And an Ireland team who might probably upset in England every now and then with one amazing Hardik Pandya performance, 91 and 34. And I think that's going to beat. I'll be actually be surprised if this team manages to win half the games.
Yeah,
If this
not only
team,
that, Sheldon Cottrell has also gone unsold, which will be very sad for Tewatia.
oh, they exactly. Now who's he going to score off?
No, the point is not this guy. Cottrell, just leave that game alone for Sheldon Cottrell. He had a decent IPL that time. He had two good games and he had one bad game and he was not given a chance. I wouldn't blame anyone else but Punjab management for that. Then in that case, Stuart Broad should have never played cricket again. In that logic, right? He is now one of the greatest ever English test bowlers to ever play the game. So I really don't get how can you judge one player by one game at the same time how can you actually degrade one player by one game. It is actually they both rose to success and went down because of the same game and because of the same spell of bowling, right? So that's where I feel Sheldon Cottrell was treated unjustly as well. He had decent two games. I remember his performance against RCB where he picked up 2 for 18 or something, and he had a decent game against Delhi Capitals as well. But then he went for runs in that match against Rajasthan Royals, and he was thrown out of the mix completely. And he's a good athlete. He's a completely a good player. But then the point is this: what I'm trying to make, you're making a player into a superstar within one game because of one innings which he played, and that too he not scored 50. He won a match. Okay, he won a match which nobody expected him to win. But at the same time, is he worth the hype what is created around him? In that
No,
case, Suresh Raina should be. So I'm coming back to the point. In that case, Suresh Raina should be there in the 11. He's been every season
Absolutely.
one. Right? He's been Mr. IPL for a reason, and he just had one bad season.
I think
He just had one bad season where he scored 190 runs.
and he's not that
But
one
no,
then
game
with
for
Sheldon
type of.
the
Cottrell,
entire season. Then I would rather
with
play Suresh
with
Raina
Sheldon Cottrell,
the same as what Rahul Tewatia will give me with the ball at number 7 and also score the same amount of runs. If not, at least Suresh Raina will score me at least 100 more or 150 more. So that's my point. Coming back to the whole point of our debate.
I think with
True.
Sheldon Cottrell, what happened is I think his whole game plan to Rahul Tewatia, not only Rahul Tewatia, is the fact that he was trying to hit the hard length, trying to hit the body line of Rahul Tewatia, and then played into the hands of Rahul Tewatia. As we said, from the wagon wheel shows, as Abel mentioned, it came completely in his arc. A different match, maybe even a wise word from a captain, could have made Sheldon Cottrell change his length. And that could have completely changed the game. And it was just one game. Sheldon Cottrell has an average of 29. That is still better than Rahul Tewatia. So, another thing to be considered.
Yep. And if you guys want to talk about, what do you guys think on this? The boycott Chennai Super Kings campaign is going on Twitter. Actually, it's mainly because Mahesh Tikshna he was part of the Sri Lankan army as well. The controversies which goes on between Sinhalese and Tamilians in Sri Lanka, and obviously uh, the Tamil community in India wouldn't like, which is practically Tamil Nadu, and they wouldn't obviously like Sinhalese player, and especially him being part of the army, Mahesh Tikshna, to play for Chennai Super Kings. Actually, that is, do you think these sentiments should be part of cricket, like these types of sentiments?
Well, it's a
There are two
gray area.
aspects actually for me to look at it. It'll be if cricket is kept independent of such sentiments, you'll never be able to monetize it the way it is being monetized. Sentiments is what gets people's interest into the game, and let's be honest, if I had a conversation with Jaren earlier this evening on text, and I don't remember it, but he tells me that something similar happened for a Muralidharan too. If you're gonna get behind your team for a man, probably for me the greatest test match bowler ever. I know Shane Warne's a big name, and Nathan Lyon's catching up, but for him, for somebody who has 800 test wickets, if you're not gonna let go of him, then Tikshana has no chance anyways. But one good thing for him is, I even remember when Suranga Lakmal, was Suranga Lakmal, or was it somebody else who was playing for Chennai Super Kings, or
Suraj
maybe it was
Randeep.
Kulasekara.
Suraj Randeep.
Oh, Randeep. Sorry. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
The amount of backlash he had faced one game when he unfortunately bowled a no ball, there was something very appalling to me. I mean, I don't know how many of us remember it, but
Yeah,
that
I
is
remember.
something that because Chennai fans, as a Mumbai fan, I'm used to having Chennai fans who they are like MS Dhoni. We just believe in what we do. We'll come in, we'll win 1 in 3 IPL, then we'll tell you, okay, boss, we've won. So and like Mumbai fans are the ones supposed to be loud and whatever, all the bad names you can have. But it's like that was a time where I saw every Chennai fan was like, what is he doing? We didn't want players like this. That the amount of rage going around for one no ball, that was something very grave for me. One good thing I feel though, as far as Tikshana is considered, if the matches happen in Maharashtra, all he needs is a couple of games and genuine good performances. This can be mellowed down. This cannot be carried on every year. That will not happen. But yeah,
Maybe you
But
guys want to add
actually,
on that?
that's my point as well, because what is happening in a political situation is something which hurts Tamil sentiments. If we are looking at the demographic situation of Tamil Nadu over the last few years, you know that they've been sentimental about Jallikattu, they've been sentimental about various other things. For example, one incident which actually takes me back is a Muralidharan's biopic, which was supposed to be made in Tamil industry, and there was huge backlash over it because in that biopic they speak about the Tamil migration, the civil war situation in Sri Lanka, and Tamil people are there are two schools of thought in Tamil Nadu where they say that Elam Tamil they believe to be one of their own. They have that revolutionary mindset. They believe that they were revolutionaries, but in some other people's eyes, they could be probably anti-national. So I don't want to get into that debate. It's a way far and way in-depth political debate which we might get into. That's not what we are here to discuss about. We're here to discuss about a player. Should a player face so much of backlash? See, another reason why, as Sankey pointed out, they're facing is that Mahesh Dixon is facing a lot of backlash is because he also served the army. Once you serve the army, people always feel that you are also a contributor to something which might have hurt Tamilians, the fishermen who were killed in the territorial waters of India, etc., etc. So I believe, as Sanjeev said, if he puts in a couple of really good performances, makes Chennai Super Kings wins 2 games, all of a sudden he'll be a hero. But I might be also wrong in saying this. If Chennai Super Kings really are going, they're already facing a lot of backlash on omitting Suresh Raina. Mahesh Dixon's thing just got a little bit high, to top it up. So it's not been 2 good days for Chennai Super Kings because I see a lot of backlash because firstly they couldn't get Faf Duplessis. People were not happy with
yeah,
that at all. Fans were like, "He's one of our own." Secondly, they couldn't get Josh Hazelwood. Both these players have gone to their arch rivals Royal Challengers Bangalore. It couldn't have got any worse. The whole situation between Karnataka, Bangalore, Chennai. I don't have to get into that as well now. So they've got it's like a player going from Real Madrid. Okay, I don't want to complain Real Madrid, but Manchester United to Liverpool, right? It's not they don't treat you well. Or Arsenal to Manchester United. It's like Robin van Persie going from Arsenal to Manchester United. And if Fab Duplessis goes and does well there, and it's gonna be huge another kind of it's gonna create a whole another uproar. But it's also good in one way. I'm seeing that hard club sentiments, hard team sentiments, and that's the best thing about Chennai Super Kings, right? They own their club. Fans feel like this is their club, and that's one of the greatest thing about IPL as well. You always when you talk about fan bases, you always think about Mumbai Indians, Chennai Super Kings, RCB, because these three are the most loyal fan bases and the biggest fan bases in the country. You go to every Indian, every general Indian, they will say they're either a Mumbai Indians fan, Chennai Super Kings fan, or an RCB fan. It's very tough to get probably a Punjab fan, a Delhi fan. It's tough to get them. Maybe you'll have them in on local areas, but these three clubs are the ones who do not have any demographic area or geographical locations. You can find fans even in Mumbai for RCB, even in Chennai for Mumbai, right? So that's how these teams are created. That's how the connection they have with fans. So now with this kind of backlash, that's why I feel, as Jen rightly mentioned earlier, Suresh Raina might be appointed as mentor. They might have to rethink on Mahesh Dixon's appointment in the squad. So these things will be revisited by Chennai because it's affecting their brand value. Right now, remember they're a unicorn company as well. They have 1 billion worth net value. It can all drop within a day. They're soon going to be a listed company. So India Cements will get affected, business side of things will get affected. Just looking at that point of view, I think Chennai Super Kings will take a decision on multiple fronts on these issues.
I think I'll disagree to one extent here. I think, first of all, I think I'll go back to this what Sajid said earlier. I think Chennai fans are pretty loud. The reason why CSK fans have been a little less louder is because the last few years we have punched above our weight. I mean, CSK's punched above their weight. They haven't looked the most settled side. But you remember when CSK had a pretty good, well-rounded side, when they were really one of the most giants of IPL. Their status never reduced. But I'm talking about the days when CSK looked really strong on paper. Those are the days when CSK fans were very loud. The same way Mumbai fans were louder when their team looked better on paper. And that'll always happen, when fans are confident. And CSK fans have learned to trust the management a lot, but CSK fans are very emotional. And that is the reason why, even though Suresh Raina has not done well, And that's what I keep coming back to as again and again. The fact that I don't think any other team or their fan base would have worried about the fact that someone like Suresh Raina is going out, except for a CSK fan base, because they're that emotionally connected to their players. And that is the reason why I won't be surprised if Tikshana is let go, or maybe something of that sort, or maybe just completely ignored of their plans. I'm not saying that is what's going to happen. I'm saying I won't be surprised, because CSK as a franchise cater to their fans a lot, and that's the reason why you see them, trying to build a brand, a fan value around their players. So I think CSK never considered it going into the auctions, but now they are seriously considering it. Again, from the analogy that Abel mentioned, I think the fact is, when in football, there's a lot more player decision which club they want to play. But in IPL, it's not up to the players. I don't think a Faf du Plessis, if he was asked if he wants to move to RCB, will agree to shift to RCB. No
No, he
disrespect to
came out
RCB.
telling today, right? He came out in a video
Yes,
telling today,
he came out
which
on
is actually
Instagram.
hurt RCB fans now. Now RCB fans are like, if he was like, I was sad when I was not bidden by Chennai Super Kings and when I was actually bought by Royal Challengers Bangalore. Now the narrative changes all of a sudden. Now the thing is, why are you coming to our club if you don't want to play for our club? So
But
now
you see,
the
the
thing
man
is,
is
now
distraught in the
also
video.
the sentiments of another fan base. A player doesn't want to play for the club. Mentally, he's somewhere else.
And that's the fact. So the fact is now that the fact is in IPL, management is more in control of where the player goes. And maybe CSK felt that I think CSK came into the auction with a clear plan, and I won't say that the plan worked to the finest detail, but maybe they expected they're overpaying for someone like Faf with the rate that he went for. Even though I personally feel it is pretty justified, he's not reduced in performance with the age. But the fact is, maybe if they knew in hindsight that they would have 3 crores left in their kitty, they would have definitely gone for Faf du Plessis. It's just auction dynamics. They didn't know if going for Faf that rate would cost them heavily at the end, and that's the reason why they stopped. So can't blame the management. It was a mega auction. It is difficult to put price on players, and they went quite far for him, but they felt that there were other options in the auction available. And I will miss him personally, but I don't feel CSK will miss Faf a lot. It'll hurt them every single time he scores for RCB, but I don't think it'll hurt their plans for the tournament as such. But the fact is, again, Tikshana issue is going to heat up. It's not going to come down anytime soon, because CSK fans are pretty emotional, and this isn't going to die down for me at least. I think it's going to go on for quite some time till a response comes from the CSK management.
And I believe CSK also will protect their players. Though they like their fans a lot, but they're also very protective of their players. So they wouldn't want to create this image saying that tomorrow no Sri Lankan player should ever be bought by this particular team. That's unfair, right? Then you're banning an entire country like you banned Pakistan. So there's another logic to it. So people are coming out and saying, as you already banned Pakistanis from IPL, why don't you ban Sri Lankans? But then
But
if you look at our
the
country's relationship
diplomatic
with
relations and all that, yeah,
diplomatic relations affects a lot more because you have a strategic port in Sri Lanka. It's again a more of a dynamic and a in-depth political situation which we'll be delving into. That's something which is very interesting for me as well as to how will CSK react to the situation, because fans would want a reply. At the same time, CSK would want to protect their player who they bought because they trusted this guy while buying him, and he's certainly a good player. He's done well. He's someone like an Ajanta Mendes who, yesterday we had a question as to why is Mujibur Rahman not there. Instead of Mujibur Rahman is why now you have seen someone like Mahesh Tikshana, someone of a similar category who can ball with a new ball. He's got variety of balls in him, and he's a decent player. So that's one of the reasons why they have picked him up. And so it's almost similar kind of debate now. Are you going to have Mahesh Tikshana like a Mujibur Rahman? If he does well, what is going to be the narrative and all that? I think now we should go to the unsold players list. I'll put up a question to all three of you. Don't you think Amit Mishra should have been picked? He's just 4 wickets. He's just 4 wickets away from breaking the all-time IPL record of last Malinga.
Exactly why he shouldn't.
That's probably from a Mumbai fan.
No.
exactly why you
In
should have.
honesty, in all
I
honesty,
think I've had enough. I'm sure Malinga's like 40% of those wickets are wickets that hurt CSK. I would have been really glad to see someone like Amit Mishra go up there.
No,
And
but
I
at the same time,
expected
Bravo
someone like
is
Amit
just
Mishra
five
to
The
wickets
go
away as
second,
well.
there.
the second you say CSK, Mike Hassi and Murali Vijay stumps flying off come to mind.
No, Bravo is just five wickets away as well. So Bravo is in a better position
All
to break
right,
his record.
all right. I think I'm happy now. Thanks
That's gonna hurt a
everyone.
little bit more, Sanjeet. So I think Amit
But
Mishra picked
I
is
I
better.
really
I
expected
mean,
I
Bravo can
really
try, but
expected I really
And it's
expected
gonna really
Amit
hurt
Mishra
if
to
he
go to
was gonna pick
CSK.
up that 171 against Mumbai.
ooh, I'll kill myself.
Oh.
That can't happen.
I
Kill myself.
Remember him giving that send off to Pollard. What if that happens all over again? And
Oh
I
man, if
think
only he would have been
I would like to
retained.
remind that send off kind of costed Chennai a lot more. I was pretty scared when Bravo did that. I was like, this is not something you do to a Kyron Pollard.
but then
But all
the
jokes,
repercussions was that Pollard literally took Bravo down in two other IPL finals, 2013 and 2015.
yeah, yeah, that's exactly what I remember, and that's the reason why I felt. I remember watching that match, and I remember being really worried about Bravo. I mean, I've never been that upset with Kyron Pollard's wicket. And on that day when that celebration happened, I'm like, this guy is gonna come for us real hard, and he did. I think ever since that, Kyron Pollard's been that one player who's destroyed a lot of two-pointers for
Yeah.
us. All the
Yeah,
jokes
and
aside,
even last season he did that. So it started there,
yeah.
and even after a decade, he's been doing that. So don't be surprised. That's how
So
he loves the team.
thanks a lot, Bravo, for everything you have done. This is one thing I really didn't want him to do. But all the
I'll just
jokes aside,
on that note, I mean, this is completely not related, but I just wonder if why does Karan Pollard agree to get retained by Mumbai Indians for always a price that is about 6 crores and 7 crores when he will fetch twice the amount anytime?
I
I
don't
think that is what
understand.
a franchisee. That's what a franchisee brings to a player. I think Faf du Plessis would have been much more happy going at 3 crores to a Chennai Super King than at 7-2 on RCB. I think Shane Watson would anytime come back and play for CSK, but he will not go back to maybe a Rajasthan or an RCB. I think that's what a
not an RCB,
franchisee does.
definitely not RCB.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
you
what
give a
I
person
think
an opportunity again and again and again, and you invest in that person, and you back him up so much that at the end of it, the person wants to do well for himself because he knows if it doesn't, he will let the Chennai Super Kings has a typical middle class parents background, style of bringing kids up. Like, once after 25 years old, bus, tumi hamara sahara ho kind of thing. He knows if he doesn't do well and doesn't take up responsibility, he's going to fail 6 people, not him alone. And
and
that makes the
and the
person
fact
do something or the other very soon. I think somewhere or the other, good franchisees have that. Pollard, if money was the criteria, no. I mean, Pollard is not going for 6 crores. If you're telling me better bowling than Rahul Tewatia day in, day out, with whatever little he bowls, batting, greatest number six. I say this again and again. No
He's
comparison.
the
So
greatest
that's what
middle
a
order
franchisee
batsman,
does.
I feel. He's the greatest middle order player. He's the greatest overseas player to have ever played in the IPL. You have a Chris Gayle, you have Bravo, you have a ABD Villiers, but then in terms of the championships he has won for Mumbai Indians, just on that category, because why do all these players play? They don't play for the
He's
emotions
won the
anymore, right?
most number of T20 titles, hasn't he? Or the second most. Bravo
Yes,
is number
yes,
one.
yes,
Bravo
yes.
is
I
just
think they
yeah,
both
Bravo
are
Yeah,
might
equal.
be
yeah,
better.
yeah, yeah.
I think just because of this criteria in IPL and on these parameters, I would put Pollard to be the greatest ever overseas player to have ever played in the IPL. On this
Exactly. Even
parameter.
after repeatedly, for someone like him saying he would like to bat a little higher up the order, he would like to have a few balls to set. It always feels that the team management isn't letting him do what he wants to do for himself. Yet you always find him willing to play for the same team over and over again. I feel
Yeah,
good teams have that, and that's how they keep their players. And a team like RCB maybe lacks that, or
yeah.
maybe a few other teams come to. Maybe a Punjab Kings lack that. A Lokesh Rahul, for example, left that team. I mean, he wasn't getting paid a little, right?
Punjab had this issue, right? Punjab always had
Exactly,
the issue with their. There was always a
see,
turmoil with their captains and coaches. I'm not going to go blame the owners of. I don't know whatever is happening there. It's not happening for good at all. There's always a shift in the
exactly.
roles.
A Chennai Super Kings, for example, is everybody says, it is Dhoni and Fleming's team. That's it.
Yeah.
They
No,
run, they
another
run
thing is
everything.
security they give to the players, right?
see
Today,
Exactly.
the
I'm
issue
I'm
with
I'm I'm, I'm getting injured today. But then there is Chennai Super Kings to take care of you. For example, yesterday you mentioned about Jofra Archer. I'm sure today already doctors must have contacted Jofra asking, how are you doing? How fit will you be by then? You can come to Mumbai to do your rehabilitation. Come to our academy. We have a Reliance
Exactly.
ground over here. We have a setup. Why doesn't Hardik Pandya doesn't go to National Cricket Academy and only trains with the Mumbai Indians trainer? There's a huge question mark right
Exactly.
there. Right? He trains
Exactly.
them. Mumbai Indians gives you the most best of facilities even when they travel, right? If you look at all the other teams and where Mumbai Indians provide the luxury for the players, it's totally different. I'm not going to say it's because Ambani has got more money. It's not because India Cements doesn't have more money or UB doesn't have more money. Just because of the fact that the kind of protection, the kind of luxury they take care of the players, let it be from Rohit Sharma to Arjun Tendulkar. Leave Arjun Tendulkar. Aditya Tare, for example. All these players are given equal treatment in this team. And that's one of the greatest things about Mumbai.
Totally.
And I know that
Totally.
Abu Dhabi, they booked a place called Saint Regis. Saint Regis, they booked a private island for them. And you
Exactly.
feel like you're at home. You're at home with this team. Same thing with Chennai Super Kings. You see a family bond over there between the wives, between the kids, between everybody.
Exactly.
Even if you're not playing, you have the same thing. That's why Chennai Super Kings and Mumbai Indians are so much different on different
And
levels. Comes to a
taking
lot.
care of a
Yeah,
player
I think
doesn't
to
only
add,
mean making sure he's fit to play. It is something like last year, after a couple of games of Mumbai Indians, they made the captain sit out for 4 games because they said if this hamstring shows up, he will not be able to represent his country in full flow. So he will not play for 4 games. Yeah, I remember Dwayne Bravo in 2008 had to go play West Indies, all right, and he was playing here for Mumbai Indians. And apparently, and he says that was the first time he ever flew private. Nidaman, he said, no, you play this game, I'll put you on the flight. They got in Portugal, filled fuel again. He was back at the Caribbean. You put the player and his interests first. As a CSK is MS Dhoni and Fleming's team, Mumbai Indians more is, owners interfere a lot more. But at the end of the day, both the teams give you apples, and apples is what you want.
Have you got a question from
Sanjeev, I'll
Kerala
add to
Blasters?
a
Yeah,
point.
I think just a second. Let me take the question. Kerala Blasters. I know you Kerala Blasters fans are very happy. They just won against East Bengal today and they're number 3 in the table. A great season for you all because it's after 7 years. They're actually doing well. So great time for Kerala Blasters. We will definitely cover on ISL, guys. Don't forget that subscribe our channel. We'll be coming in with an in-depth analysis on ISL with data. We've got some great data analysts over here, which includes like Jaren, Sankey. So these guys will be coming in with some great data analysis on ISL and on some specific players. So follow our channel for more on ISL, which will definitely bring at the end of the league stage. So let's carry on to IPL now.
I think Sanjay, adding to your point, teams like a very good example for this Delhi Capitals. From the time the change from Delhi Daredevils to Delhi Capitals, one thing that has come in them, and this is not something that will show in the few seasons. It's already showing, but the fact is they've become a lot more strong. They have started the same process of bonding with their players. Their coaching staff has not changed. Ricky Ponting didn't do well in his first season, but he's still there and he's doing well for them. Problem with Punjab is the fact that
Imagine,
they haven't cracked it yet.
just
The
imagine,
fact
Jaren, what your team is if the astrologer is the best player for your squad. I mean, there's a lot.
Yeah, I know that guy. Yeah,
like the fact
You were
is
saying, you were saying,
every
yeah,
auction for Punjab is a mega auction. You're going there with one player in your kitty, 2 players in your kitty.
yeah,
You're making a
yeah.
captain every time you're bringing a captain from the auction in. How long before it gets frustrating for a player? For someone like KL Rahul,
True.
he's played with 3 teams in the time that he's been there. He's been under Ashwin. Then he got there. He had a lot of marquee players to it, and then he again let go of them. And now finally KL Rahul's not part of your setup. So I think Punjab had attempted with KL Rahul to build a brand around him, to give that time, with Anil Kumble, KL Rahul, but that failed. And now they're trying the same with, I don't know who, probably Shikhar Dhawan. Remains to be seen where they go from. But the fact is, there needs to be a lot of work done by Kings and Punjab in terms of management. CSK, Mumbai, I think it was CSK who brought this culture out first in IPL. Mumbai transformed themselves into that. I think Mumbai, when they initially came into the IPL, they were a superstars team. Then they gradually
Yeah.
realized that this isn't working for them, and they came back. They bought someone like Rohit Sharma. Rohit Sharma was a very average player when he came to Mumbai, but they gave him that onus. They made him the player that he is today, and arguably, he has become a lot better under Mumbai Indians. So that is their strength. That is where they come from. And Mumbai Indians, again, someone like Karan Pollard, the fact that greatest sports teams have been teams which have had a brand, an identity which is separate from their players, but still stems from a player.
I'm
Like the
just
fact is,
wondering.
you look.
I'm just wondering now.
Yes.
Looking back, I was watching all the owners and people sitting at the auction table talk about the teams they've made. Ashish Nehra said he's 11 and 10 with rating his team, but again, everybody said they were happy, except I heard only Zahir Khan and Kashi sir say that budget was a constraint. They couldn't get the players they wanted, but they'll make do with what they have. I guess what that's nine
Yeah, that's
IPLs.
the difference
You
between.
accept you
Yeah,
accept
you
that you
accept
don't
the
get
player.
everything you have, but you make something of it. But
Yeah.
if you're already going to go in saying, I got a great team, I did what I have 4 superstars in my team, and you focus on those 4 superstars, you're going to get nothing. If you
You know
make do
one
with what
thing.
I have,
Yeah.
you'll do okay.
One thing which
But
I
you
would
see,
like to
Sanjit,
point out is we
I think
often look at the
yeah.
squads and we see 8 overseas players saying, "Oh, I have a Jason Roy, I have a Lockie Ferguson, I have so and so, 8 for overseas players," and say, "Oh, this is a great squad on paper, guys." But when you put down 11 for them and looking at the balance, you often find that these teams are not even good to be competing in the IPL, or they cannot compete with probably a Chennai Super Kings or even a Mumbai Indians. Why are Chennai Super Kings so successful even after having those players who are 35 plus, who are players who are 36, 37 plus? That's why I feel Chennai Super Kings have been successful because of the balance. Balance is so important in T20 cricket. Mumbai Indians and Chennai Super Kings always stick to a core 11. They form 11, they stick to those playing 11. You know Chennai Super Kings playing 11 from game one. Dhoni is not going to read it, tinker with it unless there's a major concern. Same thing with Rohit Sharma. Rohit Sharma is not going to tinker with it. But if you look at other teams, they take at least 4 to 5 games to just find the 11, then back the players. That's where the other teams fall behind, and the other reason why 75% of cups have been won by Chennai Super Kings and Mumbai Indians combined together.
No, actually, yeah.
An
If you see
interesting
that
fact.
CSK were
Yeah.
looking to buy the core back, and how chill, you saw this Chennai, you saw them sitting there. They were like really chill. You see other teams, they were actually really talking around, talking, but then you see them, they'll be like really chill, not like the other teams. You can see them.
Yeah,
Yeah. I think
that's the team that prays to God and tells them, let me make good decisions, and doesn't say I want to buy Faf back. That team always does well. I mean, it's like that. Do you want an opportunity to do well, or do you just want a good result? Praying for a good result, you're always gonna mess up. And Chennai are very. They even echoed Dhoni, what Dhoni said. He said we focus more on process than on players. Although we have invested a lot on certain names, so we did want them back. Budget was a constraint. We didn't get everyone, but we are process based and we are not result based. It's okay, whatever happens this year, we'll look to win, but it is what it is. And I feel such teams always do well. I mean, you cannot instill the fear of failing in MS Dhoni. He doesn't care a damn. It's something what they say. That's what made Sehwag the batsman he is, because he didn't fear to fail. He made those records because he didn't think about them. That's how that team works. I mean, that's important for a Gujarat Titans. I'm actually worried for Gujarat with the coaching staff they have, and even with the captain they've chosen. I feel there's going to be a lot of, I don't know. I'm really, I'm not in the best. I don't know the best of opinions for them.
Yeah, I feel
For
about Gujarat
me,
Titans because they're such a good franchise, but there are major holes. Yeah, Jared, carry on.
Yeah, so I mean, if I just pulled up the list of players who have played for CSK, and you know, a lot of nostalgia there. But if you look at a lot of those players on the list, and I'll pull out a few players as well. I'll start with Dhoni. Dhoni obviously was the greatest buy in the auction, and the reason for that was because he was fresh off from the T20 World Cup, where he almost pulled off a miracle. Like the BCCI did not
True.
wanna win the T20 World Cup, and that's the kind of team they sent. But he still won the IPL. But if you look at it aside from MSD, all the players who have entered the CSK setup haven't been star players, quote unquote. The kind of players who will go for huge amount of money. I'm not saying they haven't brought high selling players, but a lot of these players, 80% of players who entered the CSK setup are not stars until they play for CSK, and that is where IPL, and that's what's happened with Mumbai. After their first few seasons, Mumbai has done that as well, and the issue again, what Abel mentioned is right in so many levels. The fact that CSK and Mumbai went to the mega auction with the fact that they wanted a balanced squad. A lot of other teams went into the auction with the fact that they want a list of star players. And that is where you look at some of the squads and you realize, oh, they've got a Jason Roy, or they've got a Hardik Pandya, or they've got a Rashid Khan. But when you sit down and try to make 11, that is when you realize you did not get him, you could have gotten him, you could have gotten them. And that kind of planning only comes into success. It's when it comes to team sport, it is not about one single player, it is about the greater aggregate, the aggregate of skills. And that is where I think someone like CSK and Mumbai do better, because they have a greater aggregate of skills every season they turn up.
True. So I think we can go to the next question. Let's talk about Piyush Chawla's omission, right? What did you guys think of him? Because I thought, somewhere down the line, Piyush Chawla has been an IPL great, regardless of what he might have done in the last couple of seasons, but still, he's still a utility player, right? And he's just 32, 33, 33 years old. You might have seen him play for India for the last 2 decades, for example, but then he's still 32, 33. And should he have been picked by Mumbai Indians? That's my question.
Yeah, maybe over a Mayank Markande, maybe if because he has that experience, and obviously he's younger than Virat, maybe, but he doesn't look like.
That's what is the problem for me. It doesn't look like he's younger than Virat. If he would
Yeah,
have,
actually, it doesn't look
I think
young,
would have
but
been a whole different thing.
yeah, he looks like he put on a lot of weight. Like, not like he might not look fit to you. Like, he might not look fit, but obviously maybe the experience that he provides to the team is huge, and that might help the team.
Piyush Chawla, for me, a better spinner than Murugan Ashwin and even a Markande. I won't say I was surprised, but I would have wanted Mumbai Indians to go for him to at least make one bid, maybe just get him for that price if they want to.
Yeah.
Just maybe, because
For me,
although fitness is a concern and how much can you do in 2 months, but then again, I mean, I spoke about having control over a ball. He has that. He's played a lot, so he knows he's done well for Kolkata. Decent batting ability too, more than decent actually. In terms of T20, I rate him much higher than I rate Ravichandran Ashwin. In terms of batting, that position is considered. He can do much better than maybe an Ashwin also. But yeah, especially a team like Mumbai, I feel at least should have made an effort to go for him. But I mean, I think it's okay. Maybe age is a big factor for a lot of these guys nowadays. I'm not pretty sure about it.
Yeah, is Piyush Chawla better than Tewatia in T20s?
Oh, 100%.
Oh, yeah,
I don't think there's competition. You can't compare a
100%,
Piyush Chawla to a Tewati. I'll say that.
When you start talking about
Actually,
Piyush
Piyush
Chawla, you
Chawla has
remember
a championship winning knock. He played that final
Yeah.
knock against
Yeah.
Punjab back in 2014.
yeah, in
in
2014,
fact,
you remember?
he
that?
robbed,
Yeah, and that's not like
he robbed Punjab of an
Jack
IPL.
Leach kind of innings. Exactly.
Yeah. And he did not
He
take
robbed
on
Punjab of an IPL.
Cotton. He took on a Mitchell Johnson to win that championship.
Yeah.
Mitchell
So
Johnson
you
was at
talk
his
about
prime
it, you
back then.
remember this final, the runs that he hit in the finals. Actually, when you talk about Piyush Chawla, I always remember the runs that he hit in this finals. Actually, so anyone.
I've often heard Joy Bhattacharya say this guy was he's an absolute IPL legend, and people don't regard his IPL record. He has a better record than many of the bowlers. He has a better record than Ashwin. He has a better record than many of the bowlers we're talking about. He's as good as a Chahal or Ashwin, or even better than them. But then we don't consider him because we look at we cherry pick some of his bad performances and say, let's see, he's got 50 runs in this match. He's got 45 runs in this match. But what he brings to the fore is something which cannot be measured. It's an intangible asset, and he's definitely a good asset to invest upon for many, many teams. For example, that's why
Guys,
I'm
would you all say this? Would you all say this? Like it is something similar to what happened to a Kuldeep Yadav just maybe 8 years later. I mean, you got hit for a couple of games and you just vanish. Everybody knows you can bowl well, and ability is not the issue, but then just it doesn't happen.
I think Kuldeep Yadav is having a very tough time since that onslaught which Moeen Ali went after him. I remember that match in Eden Gardens when Moeen Ali just took him apart for 28 runs or something. He cried after the match. And after that England match happened in the World Cup where he was again taken down, then he never was in the Indian team again. It was either Chahal playing or at times Kuldeep playing. But then he just never looked like the bowler he was. And he tried a lot of things since then. He wanted to bowl quick. His greatest strength was him flighting the ball, being more old school. But he went away from those basics and those great things which he possessed to be someone else, which he's not. I don't know who made him do that. If it is Virat Kohli, the team management, or whoever made him do that, that's definitely not good for the player. And that's one thing which I loved about Rohit Sharma. We pointed that out even in the last game. He went for those sixes and he tried to ball that quicker ball, and Rohit Sharma said, "Dekh, dheere dal. मारने दो but धीरे डाल." So this is something which you know about the captain. The captain has complete trust in you, even if you're going for so many runs. See, flight the ball, get the wicket for me. That's something which will help Kuldeep Yadav for a long extent. I'm not sure how big a rope he'll get in Delhi Capitals because you already, if I'm looking at the spinners, they have Akshar Patel, but other than that, I don't see any other major Indian spinner. So that's why I feel he might get a longer rope, like that would he got in Kolkata Knight Riders, or that he could get in any other team. Let's see how it goes for him because this is going to be a make or break season for him in terms of T20 cricket at least.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I think the reason why Chawla didn't get through is because of his last 3 seasons. I'll completely ignore the last season. He just played a match, so there is nothing to go by
Yeah.
there. But I think in the season that he played for CSK, which seemed like a season where he would redeem himself, he wasn't very effective. He went for quite a bit of runs. I think his average was very skewed, and CSK didn't get the kind of performance they wanted out of him. And that I think was the final hope that he got in the IPL. With Mumbai again, I think Mumbai got him in a mini auction. The fact being, I feel more than Mumbai, the reason why they've gone with someone like Mayank Markanday, I think he is their long-term investment. He's the next Rahul Chahar they're looking at. They're obviously, I think, I don't know what their plan was in relation to Rahul Chahar, but I think their idea is to get Mayank
I
Markanday
have a
there
question to
and
that.
try.
If he was a long-term investment, then why did they let go of this guy back to Delhi Capitals? They traded him for Trent Bolt, but that's been one of the greatest trade-off ever in IPL history. But then, and from there,
That's
Delhi
that,
Capitals traded him
that's
off to
like that's
Rajasthan
like you
Royals.
may be a badass at the auction table, but you still have here what you have here. You can do
Yeah.
nothing about it.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's how
I
tough
think
Delhi Capitals could ever be as well. They could have actually been a potent bowling attack with Rabada, Trent Bolt, and even Nokia. But leave all that
Wow.
aside. Yeah, leave all that
but
aside.
like for
Then
me,
you have
I
Markandey not
personally
even playing a
feel
single game for Delhi, going to Rajasthan. He did not play a single game over there. Now he's back to Mumbai Indians again. What a time he has had.
And I don't
for
see
me,
him
I
playing a
rate
lot here
Mayank.
either.
For me, I rate Mayank Markanday a lot, highly, and I feel he's got a good set of skills about him. Maybe he requires someone who gives him that confidence. He's pretty young for a leg spinner in a T20 match. It's very difficult as a leg spinner. You need a big heart to be the kind of bowler to toss the ball up, and flight the ball up with someone like Mayank Markanday. That is where I really believe that someone like Rohit Sharma can get the best out of him, because I really love Rohit Sharma as a captain when it comes to spinners. And coming back to Piyush Chawla, I think it's just the perception game with him. He's always had perception go against him, as Sanjit and Abel mentioned. Uh, his previous years haven't been well for him as well. So I think this is where Mumbai probably felt, or I don't think Mumbai had him in their plans at all. And I feel he's a much more value for money buy for a team like Gujarat Titans, because I feel he will play a lot more there, and I feel they require him. Yesterday we discussed about how their lower order is not looking strong. Piyush Chawla could have solved that for them, and Piyush Chawla is a better spinner than Rahul Tewatia on any day.
Any
Agree.
question on Bold Army? Any thoughts on Bold Army, the RCB
No
fan army?
questions also, man, and no answers also, as far as I'm considered.
Okay, but yeah, I think they're a good. They're a good fan army. They've been very loyal to their fan base. If you need to be 13 years without a title and still be loyal, it speaks something about them and towards their team. So kudos for
All,
that.
all three of y'all, just help me out with this. Virat Kohli gets up tomorrow and says he doesn't want to play T20 cricket anymore, drops, doesn't play for RCB. How much of his bold army is sticking is my question. Rohit Sharma is not fit. Absolutely. He is unfit
Good
and five
question.
IPL
Let's go to the
titles.
next question.
You know what?
Dude,
I'll just say one
imagine
thing
a
about
guy
the board
2 years
army.
older than Virat Kohli, 80 matches less, and like still five IPL titles more and two Champions League titles more. That is like the greatest insult of all time. Like anybody can have.
I think I'll tell one thing about Bold Army is the fact that Abel has a lower hairline because the fact that he's not won a title for 13 years. I have a worse hairline because MS Dhoni's really made me sweat in a lot of death overs. But I think kudos to them.
And I'm fat because I stress eat
They,
in the first 5 matches of every IPL.
Oh my God.
I mean, I think for me, someone like Rohit Sharma is coming to the chalk end of his career. You will see a
What?
lot of
Shit.
struggles and a lot of. You are the one who called him unfit. I did not call him that. So I think I'm doing better.
Hey,
on
Guys,
this.
I
Greg
think
Thank
we
you.
called
should
him
call
unfit.
unfit. I don't think we should take any these nonsense questions which degrade our players, because he's our Indian captain, guys. At the end of the day, we have complete support for him. I think we have a match in a couple of days' time, which we'll be coming and reviewing and previewing. We have a match against West Indies. I think that should be on our priority as well, because ultimately they play for our country. I think clubs aside, franchise aside, they're going to be in your favorite team for maybe a couple of months. The divide which has been created in our ecosystem with Virat Kohli versus Rohit Sharma, it's just toxic. It's just so unethical, I feel, in many ways, because I've not seen this kind of divide during Rahul Dravid and Sachin Tendulkar era. Both are great in their own ways. If you ask me who's the greatest white ball batsman at the period, I would say it's Rohit Sharma because of its ability to change the game. If you say me who's the greatest all format batsman, I would say Virat Kohli. That's how good they are, right? And Rohit Sharma has also come up with some of his best performance in Test cricket. We lost the Test series in South Africa because Rohit Sharma was not the opener. I can absolutely write it and give you that. We lost the Test series in New Zealand back in 2020 because Rohit Sharma was not the opener. And same reason why we lost the ODI series in South Africa as well. Rohit Sharma has been so instrumental for them and for the Indian cricket team. The same with Virat Kohli has been. So I think for fans to come up against each other because of RCB, Mumbai Indians is just so, I would say, unprofessional towards the sport, and they do not really realize how big assets they are to Indian cricket. You go ask Australia or any other country, would you like to have these two? They would say yes. And
You know,
another matter,
fact
how
is,
much they are able to contribute for
Now,
this country.
Abel, tell me this. Now, what do you expect me to do after that speech in the month of April and May? Do I sit and only watch the game?
I mean, I understand that you have your emotions, but you don't create a divide, right? You don't become
Yeah,
toxic
that's
and say,
true. That's very true.
see, I
I
think
am totally against toxicism and all the other hate that people fling upon each other. I think that shouldn't happen, and is very stupid. And Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma, both of them do not know we exist. So I think we should just let it be that
and
way.
I'm seeing some
Watch
of the
cricket.
Twitter spaces which blew up just to create this toxic divide.
you know,
क्या जब विराट रोहित शर्मा को नंबर 3 भेजे थे न्यूजीलैंड के खिलाफ, विराट कोहली का हाथ था कि नहीं, मतलब what is this? I mean, this is absolute nonsense in many ways.
Exactly.
I mean, we don't know what is happening, and does Virat Kohli care about it? If they're friends off the field, nobody cares. Nobody gives a damn about it. Nobody gives an F about it. But if they're able to contribute and help them win championship titles, that's all what we care about, right? We don't know. Shane Warne and Steve Bowen are the best of friends, but when they step down to play for Australia, they won them titles. That's what we remember them for. We remember them for the legacy they played together for. So that's what I wanted. We don't care if their wives are friends, if their daughters are best friends, if they are best friends. All what we care is if they are both able to contribute for Indian cricket.
Yeah, when you step onto the field, it's nothing. It's all like you're a team. It's all the outer noises. It just goes blank. And you're a team. You're gonna play together, no matter what.
And I think everybody plays the game to win. And at the end of the day, winning a game is what is paramount for all the players. And your tweet makes no difference in their lives or how they look at each other either. So I mean, it's best that is reduced, if not completely stopped.
I'm just sure that the Twitter DMs of Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli are full of these memes that people are making about them. It's utter nonsense. There is no base to it. You see them play. I think these players don't see them play matches together because you see the camaraderie they share on the field. It just is the answer to all these people. I don't know where
Exactly.
this comes from.
By chance.
The second Virat Kohli that day said, "मुझे लग रहा है out है," he did this. Rohit Sharma did this. There was no second opinion. When you trust man standing at mid wicket more than the keeper standing a pace away, you should know that this man trusts the other person, and that is important when you play a game together.
It just takes me back to the press conference which Rohit Sharma recently had. He said, Virat Kohli को हमारा advice चाहिए. मतलब Literally. The same thing which Virat Kohli told journalists back then, right? Would you actually drop Rohit Sharma? Are you guys
True.
bonkers? Are you guys nuts or something of that sort? That's how much they share the camaraderie. And we've seen so many times that these both have that mutual respect. Virat Kohli admired Rohit Sharma's batting. And we have heard him come out saying in interviews as well that this guy is one of the most talented batsmen I've seen in my life. So you can just understand that how much they respect each other. They respect each other's decisions. They might have been some difference of opinion there, here and there, but that should not concern us at all. That'll be there between you and your wife, you and your best friend, you and your everyone. With any relationship you have with anyone, you will have that difference of opinion. And Sanki, I have a question. Do you know these people by chance who are in our comments?
Maybe I'm not sure.
Okay, yeah. We can go to the last question of the day.
What is
Last
the last
question.
question of the day?
There's no last
I think,
question.
I
Fab,
think, I think, I think we have covered everything. I think we can end it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can end it for the day. We're calling it an early day, early night.
Yep.
We usually stay up till 2 in the morning, but today we have to call it off because we are running out of topics to discuss on. We have not prepared enough.
Yep.
So
Bad
we'll be
light.
back tomorrow, guys. Tomorrow there's my special guest on our show, one of the social media stars, and we'll be previewing tomorrow India versus West Indies. I'll have the same panel to preview the India West Indies series. So, guys, I hope you're pumped up for that India West Indies T20 series, which is going to get underway day after tomorrow. We'll see how good that is going to be.
Sure, but okay. Let's end the live.
Okay, but there are some of your fans, thank you. But great that you have been able to attract fans to the speech. Subscribe our channel, guys. Don't forget that.
Yes.
For all the kind of
To
sports.
watch more Sankey.
Yeah, emphasize on Sankey as you
Yes.
follow
Bye-bye.
Sankey a lot. Okay. Bye.